these elections should be a game changer in the lives of our people. People of South Africa have not given anyone a majority to rule alone. Coalition governments have come to stay in our country. We do not want to politicize the royal family.
Sure.
We remain the subjects of the king.
Spread the fire. Welcome back to SMWX. Today, I'm really excited to welcome back on the show someone who is one of the most important politicians in South Africa. Some say the glue in the GNU. He, of course, is the leader of the Inkatha Freedom Party, and he's the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. Mr. Velenkosi Hlabisa, thank you so much and welcome back.
No, thank you very much, Sizwe, and it's a great pleasure to be back in your show. And really, anytime I'm also available, because it is good to engage and let the people know, because sometimes the short interviews do not give enough information
Absolutely.
for our people to be firstly informed and make right choices.
Well, we're so glad to have you. It's always great. And of course, since you were last year, you've become a minister in our government. It was just before the 2024 election when we last spoke. How would you say things are going? You know, we're all interested to know how this GNU really works behind the scenes. What is your assessment of how this coalition is coming together?
Firstly, Sizwe, you will remember when I came here before elections, I was of the firm view that South Africa is going to have a coalition government.
Yeah.
Many people said I was daydreaming. They never saw it coming.
True.
We had made our analysis to look at the trends in terms of how people make their choices, and it eventually happened. So from the point of the IFP, that is why we were so clear from the beginning that people of South Africa have not given anyone a majority to rule alone. They said, work together, find a common cause, take our country forward. And that is what happened. The GNU came into existence. Of course, it was expected, especially in South Africa. It was for the first time since 1994 to have a government that is going to combine different political parties, not by choice. Yes, it happened in 1994, but it was a choice. 2024, people compelled that you work together. There is no one who's going to have a 50% plus one, a majority. The majoritarian principle, we are putting it aside. We need a collective view, even when you make decisions. Of course, it was expected that different political parties, 10 political parties, will need some time to have synergy, understand each other, find a common view, because some were not even believing that is it real that we have lost power, or is it real that we are part of government? As the time went on after the elections, political parties found a common ground and agree that we have a collective responsibility. There is no bigger one, there is no smaller one, there is no clever one, but we are the choice of the people of South Africa. We must take the country forward. The first year had some issues. Really, I must say, the second year, things are flowing very well. The team spirit that you find amongst cabinet ministers, yes, if you go to the plenary, the National Assembly, you will find that spirit of one political party wanting to show that I'm doing better simply because they know the public can follow those discussions. But if you go to cabinet, where we know there's no one who is watching us except ourselves.
Yeah.
The working relations are very good, and we support each other. We are not shooting down the ideas that come from another department because the minister come from a political party. We have come into an understanding that we have one country, which is South Africa, and we have a responsibility to make the country stable and take the country forward. You will agree, Sizwe, because you are well versed in terms of following issues, that in terms of the economy of our country is taking a turn of becoming better if you compare prior 2024. And we are confident that as the time goes on, South Africa is going to do far better in terms of the economic recovery, which will, of course, create more job opportunities. And all political parties, we have a common view that we need to make the local government space work, because everybody resides in a ward. There's no one who lives in national government or provincial government. Everybody, whether the president, deputy president, minister, we all live in a particular ward. And we need to make municipalities functional.
Yeah.
Because if municipalities are functional, they provide stable water, stable electricity, clean environment, sewage is not running down the street. That environment is conducive for business people to invest in the area. When they invest, job opportunities are created, people get employed, they could support their families. South Africa will be a healthy nation. But if municipalities are dysfunctional, there is no business person who wants to invest in an area that does not have water, where he or she has to drill a borehole or get a backup engine and spend money on diesel or petrol to get the business running, because it's running a business at a loss. So now we all agree that in order to make the economy of our country grow, let the local government space work. Let the environment be conducive for business people to invest. That is how our economy is going to grow. As we are looking forward to the elections, that is the spirit we all adopted as leaders in government, that this time around, the local government must work.
Before we move on to questions of local governance, which I'm really interested in your view on, because of course you are really maybe the most important leader in local governance in South Africa right now. Just to pick up on your point about the GNU, I saw an interesting poll recently which said that the majority of South Africans back the GNU, but a vast majority of South Africans also don't believe their lives are getting better. Are you concerned? Because I'm actually not sure that the GNU has delivered anything tangible economically or in terms of basic service delivery so far. We saw unemployment figures coming out recently which show unemployment is actually up rather than down. So it's an interesting one, because the public seems to support this government, but it's also saying that this coalition is not delivering in the way that we hope it will deliver on the fundamentals.
Sizwe, it could not happen overnight. That is the reality that we need to face, that it took years for our economy to be where it is. It just cannot happen overnight. But we cannot simply say, no, it can't happen overnight. We need to take an extra mile, that it doesn't take too long, even if it is not overnight. The figures in terms of the unemployment rate, which were released yesterday, remain a matter of concern. But we are very confident if you look at the stability in terms of government, because when there is no stability in government, investors are not keen to come to that country. Now, the confidence, many people thought the coalition is going to be chaotic. Those who lost power, having been in power for years, will resist. There will be no stability, no peace. And that chapter has been closed, that it wasn't the case. Now, the government, the way it is working, if you look at the interventions from various departments, you could see that, there is a change that is taking place in the government of South Africa. And it is that stability that must create an environment to boost the economic growth, which will eventually yield to changes in the lives of our people. The local government elections must be a game changer, because when people see services being stable, they would say our country is taking a different direction now. And when service delivery becomes stable in terms of water, electricity, as well as cleanliness, more investors will come to South Africa. Because if services are bad, investors are not keen to invest in that particular country. And that is why I'm saying it cannot happen overnight. But the good thing, everybody realizes that things are getting better, even if at a slow pace, not as much as we wanted. You know, if you have been so hungry, you want to eat quickly, then eating slowly, because you have been so hungry for quite a long time. I think that is where we are as a country, and we are very cognizant of that fact as the government, and doing every step quicker than we could have done before to ensure that the hope and the trust people have in their government is not lost.
Now, I know that in your portfolio, you are in the middle of very important legislative changes. I guess the first is concerning the structure of municipalities themselves. Can you give us a sense of where that process is and why it is important at this juncture to, in many ways, rethink the model of municipalities and local government that we've had before?
Let me talk about the concept of the white paper review in the local government. The local government is the closest sphere of government to people, as I said at the beginning.
Yeah.
That is where we live. That is where every business exists. Even the aeroplanes that fly on the sky, they eventually land, the business is on the ground.
Sure.
And every other business is on the ground in a particular ward, in a particular municipality. Therefore, the local government is a critical space in changing the lives of people. We had to review the local government system, learning from the past. The few reforms that we are elevating and proposing in the local government white paper review, which of course is at the tail end in terms of concluding it. On the 24th of August, we're going to Cabinet for the final approval. And on the 11th of September, we want to launch the white paper review on local government. It is going to be a game changer. It is going to press a reset button in these ways. One, we have agreed that a one-size-fits-all doesn't work. We need to treat municipalities differently. A differentiated approach is required. Municipalities are not the same. There are municipalities that were better advantaged and those that were disadvantaged. Municipalities that have a sufficient revenue base to collect from and those that they do not. Now, the funding model must be different.
Sure.
We have agreed on that one. The National Treasury and our team are working now on a new funding model because we have agreed on a principle through the white paper review that the view that municipalities were going to collect more money and government only give little money in terms of the grants and shares going to municipalities is not working. So now the ratio must change. And as to what should be the ratio, then is the work that is being done by our teams so that immediately come 2027, when a new budget is made, we start to introduce these changes in funding model. It cannot happen overnight because the reality is we don't have the money just sitting somewhere there. But say over a period of 3 years or over a period of 5 years, if you you introduce a different ratio in order to address the imbalances, that is how you can make a meaningful change. Secondly, we are raising the issue of get the right people to lead and manage municipalities. You can give them money, you can revise the white paper, it will remain a white paper if you don't get the right people. The first thing that we are elevating is that political parties, because we wanted to prescribe who should be elected as a councillor. Now, the problem, we're going to be interfering with the constitution.
Sure.
Then you need to have some more time to change that one. Now, political parties are the ones who must be the game changer because it is the responsibility of a political party to decide who becomes a mayor, the finance committee, speaker, the chairperson of the MPEC. We are elevating that for municipalities to work. Competent mayors, leaders of councils should be the one who will be the agents of change. If you appoint a mayor who does not have sufficient competencies, who cannot comprehend the annual financial statement or the audit report, who will only rely on officials to explain what the Auditor General is saying, definitely we won't see a change. Now we are elevating that point that for functional and efficient municipalities, we need competent political leadership. A competent political leadership will employ competent officials. We are elevating the principle of professionalization of staff. People must be fit for purpose.
Absolutely.
An MM, a CFO, the Director Corporate Services, and Director Technical Services, those are key people. Currently, Sizwe, we have municipalities adopting unfunded budgets. A competent CFO will never prepare an unfunded budget and take and give it to MM. A competent MM will say, CFO, balance the figures. I'm not going to take it to council. A competent mayor will say, I'm not going to table this one to council. Take it back. Balance the figures, because I don't want us to commit lies in public, say we are going to do A, B, C, D, yet we know we do not have that money. So now, to make local government work, get the right people in that space as political leadership and as administration. Once you get the right people, give funding, create more resources to municipalities so that you deal with the backlog in terms of water provision, electricity provision, housing. The list is long. That is where, therefore, the role of the electorate is important.
Sure.
People complain, they say municipalities are not doing anything, councillors are not helping us. Time to complain must come to an end. People must say, we are going to take our complaint, our protest to the ballot box. When we reach at the ballot box, we're not going to be emotional. We're not going to vote for a good slogan. We're not going to follow our heart as to what I want. I will say, is this person going to deliver water, electricity, a clean environment? If no, don't vote for that person. Even if your heart likes that political party, you are going to complain the following day if you follow your heart and not consider a competent and a best person that can deliver your services and that person whom you can hold accountable. You know, Sizwe, I speak from a good space because I come from a political party.
Sure.
That is why I'm not afraid, because I know if a councillor underperforms, it reflects badly to a political party and is what we are telling the leaders of political parties, that these elections should be a game changer in the lives of our people. The white paper alone is not going to work. It is us who must make the white paper live what it says, be implementable. And it is the electorate. People must not abstain. To abstain because you say there will be no change, things will get worse. If you feel things are not good, make a change through your vote. That is just simple.
I fully agree. I fully agree. Well, on that, may I also say that, you know, sometimes people do make a change through their vote, but then coalition arrangements bring back the same party that the people voted out into power. So I think there is also a duty on some opposition parties to listen very carefully to people when they say, we don't want the incumbent in office anymore.
Sizwe, let me come on that one. Because coalition governments have come to stay in our country. This is one thing we must accept. A political party that had the majority rule is not as same as a political party that cannot make decisions alone. That is the difference.
Sure. I hear you.
And you see, Sizwe, I would want to talk about the coalitions bill and the binding agreement for coalitions.
Yes, that's another important piece.
Because look at what happened in Johannesburg. One mayor after the other.
Minister, you don't need to tell me. I've been living through this crisis.
Now, the coalitions are going to be part and parcel of our lives.
Sure.
If the people of South Africa can be fair, the GNU is performing better than the previous government in the sixth administration running the country alone.
Well, the bar is low, Minister, but
Sizwe, people will see as the time unfolds that in terms of transparency, we know better now what is happening. In terms of ministers who is doing what, we know better now than we knew before. In terms of ministers taking appointments, honoring them, is better than before. In terms of the political leaders staying when invited into an area, not doing a touch and go because they are in a hurry, is better than before. The coalition government, even in the local space, is going to bring talents together, which has not been the case if there was one political party governing.
Sure.
As I've said, even if people wanted to vote out a particular political party, it is not as arrogant as it may have been in a coalition government.
Sure.
And coalitions at a local government space, because it will not help the community if you combine political parties that will not work, that will be quarreling, fighting, day in, day out. It's not going to work for people. But political parties, when the results are released, the first question they ask themselves, who can I work with? In terms of policy, in terms of culture, in terms of direction. That is what determines who to work with. There could be a slight change at a local space because at a local government, there is no policy matter involved. You deal with providing water, electricity, clean environment. So now, the possibility of seeing coalitions with political parties with divergent views are likely.
Interesting.
But at a national level, it becomes a little bit difficult because they can spend 3 years arguing their political views, not the needs of the people. That is why, therefore, some people said they were not happy about the political parties that came together, but it became good for the country because those political parties, though they have some few political differences, but they eventually agreed that by and large, we have one direction. It is interesting though, Sizwe, that if you look now, even those who are outside the GNU do want to be inside.
Sure.
The reason is very simple. A political party that keeps on making promises but outside government becomes irrelevant to people. That is why it was welcome to see the EFF joining the Gauteng provincial government. Sure. And there could be no surprise, even in KwaZulu-Natal, if you see another political party joining the provincial government in the interest of ensuring stability. As you know, there is this backward and forward in the KZN government.
Yes,
when there is no stability, investors do not have confidence in putting more money in that province.
Sure.
And if they are not having confidence, it affects the community. But if there is stability,
absolutely,
people know we can invest because we can see things are stable and we can look forward to making profit in the investment we made. So now, local government is about a councillor that must serve you the best. That is what the community must put as a first priority.
Yeah.
Then the second thing, the coalition governments are bound to happen in these municipalities. Sure. Because even as we saw that the city of Johannesburg is a coalition government, the only bad thing was the change of leadership one after the other. If the leadership changes, there is no continuity, there is no stability, there is no progress, even in terms of plan. One mayor come with his plans, 1 year, another one changes the plans, and people do not receive sustainable service delivery. We have learned good lessons. That is why the coalitions bill, it has passed the cabinet level, is now at a parliamentary level, and we have agreed that we will want to fast track it. We know we are working against time, and the challenge was that if you want to pass a bill, you need to comply with certain legal requirements. The state law advisors, that is where we had a major challenge to cross the hurdle
I see.
at that level, which consumed time. But it's over now. It's at a parliamentary level. We are going to fast track the process, but parallel, we have appointed a team of legal experts to start drafting the regulations to control or regulate coalitions.
I see.
One, coalitions must be binding for 5 years. Votes of no confidence must be regulated. Councillors must not just wake up in the morning and say a vote of no confidence. It must be under certain stringent conditions. Like if a person has committed a criminal offense, then councillors can put a vote of no confidence that we can't be led by someone who is criminally charged. But other than that, a mayor must run the course of 5 years. so that there is stability, there is continuity, and there is progress. Political parties who get into a coalition will have to be sober and in their senses. Because a coalition, we want it to be binding for 5 years. This must be like you are getting into a marriage for 5 years. If you experience problems, like in a marriage, deal with your problems. In your marriage, it's for 5 years. And then those mechanisms are the things that we are going to introduce through the bill. If the bill doesn't see the approval before the 4th of November, through the regulations.
Right.
And immediately thereafter, we will finalize the bill to ensure that we stabilize the local government. And our plan is that immediately in January, because there will be very little you can do in December after November election, except the formation of the councils at a local level, district level, then January. Those who will be in the leadership of municipalities, mayors, speakers, MPEC chairs, we will do an induction program in order to capacitate them to ensure that they are able to lead successfully the local government space. And we will do audit in terms of the competencies of the leaders of the municipalities. Because you will find that a mayor does not have a certain qualification, neither diploma nor degree. But if you look at his or her experience, you can see that this person, this experience is equivalent to a degree or a diploma. We will create programs that put this person over into a 1-year program in order to capacitate him or her in terms of leadership, in terms of financial management, so that as a leader of a municipality, you must have a direction. You must know where do you want to take the municipality in the next 5 years, and what are critical things in this local space that you must resolve as the closest sphere of government. And we are confident, as CISO, that the coalitions have matured in the local government space. There are municipalities that are doing very well. I can tell you the city of Umhlatuze in KwaZulu-Natal. You can even go to Western Cape. There are coalitions that are stable, that are doing very well, simply because those political parties accepted that the people have said we must work together. And in terms of policies and views, we are not different that much. Let us just put the interest of people and take our communities forward.
That's a perfect point at which we can dive into a few more political questions, Minister, because obviously you're also the leader of one of the most important political parties in the country. And this election is going to, in many ways, change the political landscape. I mean, one area of interest for me would be eThekwini, where we've seen some fascinating polling. Generally across KZN, it looks like the IFP is gaining considerable ground. But of course, you've also got the MK party, which is doing well too. So the question, I suppose, will be whether the IFP sees itself as bound to its GNU partners in coalitions in KwaZulu-Natal in terms of municipalities, or do you think you'll be more flexible and on a case-by-case basis decide which party to partner with if the people, again, say, we want you to work together?
I indicated earlier, I was part of the team that went to Germany before 2024 elections to prepare for coalitions, because we knew they're going to happen, the coalitions. And then we learned that you will find a different combination from national, provincial, and local. Look, Gauteng is a different combination from the GNU. Now, then to answer your question therefore directly, it's a different sphere of government that will be dictated by different environment, even in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
You may want to maintain how you look at a national level, but the numbers will tell you that it won't work
Yeah.
in this local space.
So you wouldn't rule out working with MK if the numbers allow you to?
The IFP has a view, Sizwe, that there is no political party which we say we shall never work with this political party.
Sure.
As long as a political party is not going to be a disruptive political party, changing now and again, and eventually not knowing where you are going. It's interesting when you refer to the recent survey in eThekwini.
Yeah.
It's very encouraging, and I'm sure by 4 November, it will be a different thing.
Well, it looks like you're taking some votes from MK. It looks like you're taking, I mean, the ANC, you've already taken lots of votes from them. So what you're sitting, was it 16? I think somewhere in eThekwini. So that's encouraging for you.
You see, Sizwe, I wouldn't want to talk about other political parties because I'm a leader of another political party. I must respect that space. But of course, we do our survey as a party.
Sure.
And every time in KwaZulu-Natal, the IFP has won the majority by-elections more than any other political party.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we compare, after every by-election, we compare that by-election, that what was the status in 2024 and 2021. And of course, it's not easy to compare with 2021 because the MKP was not there.
Sure.
But if you look at 2024 and look at the by-elections thereafter, all the by-elections, we do that comparison, and the results are very interesting and in our favor because we can see that we are gaining more ground, even in areas where we slightly lost in 2024. Because the good thing in 2024, amongst all political parties that are well established, I mean, ANC, DA, EFF, Freedom Front Plus, it is only the IFP that did not decline in 2024, that also had more representatives, either provincial or national. So now it humbled us that despite the new players, but we managed to get more ground, and we're building on that one. And we're looking at a very good working relationships because, you know, I was visiting the voting stations during the registration. The spirit is very good between ANC, IFP, MKP, and this is what we want to promote. Because if political parties start to mature, work together, accept each other, it even becomes easier to get into coalition. You can't get into coalition if you do not accept each other because you're going to waste the time for the community because you will be quarreling in council instead of making a simple decision. But the more political parties mature, accept each other, recognize that we are a result of the community, any coalition can work. Typical case, Gauteng, a combination bringing in EFF. Once political parties reaches a level to say, you know, look, we need to work together for the sake of the people. We may differ on policy issues, put aside those issues, but what is common? Let us champion the common values for our people. Every coalition will be stable. And we will play an important role as the GNU to demonstrate to coalition in the local government space that you can work together, even if you belong to political parties. Be matured, find a common ground, tolerate each other, put the interest of the local community above your petty political issues, and then champion those wishes of the people than your political wishes.
I'm genuinely interested in how you will make these decisions? Because I'm just thinking to myself now, November the 4th comes, the election result happens, and I fully agree with you. I think across the country, the voters are going to say, we want coalition government. But then I think of it from the perspective of a party leader, where you could have maybe 100 different negotiations happening at once. How do you manage that kind of complexity? Is it something where, in terms of the IFP, you would want to ratify each decision as party leader? Would you give autonomy to local leaders to figure it out for themselves? And how do you make that many decisions in such a short space of time? And how are you going to think it through?
The coalitions bill is introducing a new concept. Previously or currently, the Act says the council must be constituted within 14 days. We are proposing a change that it must be 30 days.
I see.
So that you allow time for engagements.
Sure. Do you think that will be enforced by
even if it will not be enforced by then?
Yeah.
That is why we agreed on fast tracking method. There is a
the
way
regs.
we are going to try to fast track the bill
Sure.
to get quickly, even if elections can come the 4th, probably the second week.
Yeah.
That is our plan.
Interesting. Okay.
And we immediately when the results come out, from the government point of view, there are municipalities which we are bound to help in terms of finding a working coalition.
Right.
And because you will find in some municipalities people saying, we can only work with you here if you give us a certain position in another sphere of government.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
We'll need to facilitate that discussion.
Sure.
That why don't we treat a sphere of government separate from the other, because elections happened at different time. That is one thing from a government point of view, but also from a political party point of view. We have done our study in terms of how we're going to perform.
Yeah, sure.
There are municipalities where we know here we're going to come back full swing.
Yeah, sure.
But here we are likely to get into a coalition. Like eThekwini, we know it's going to be a coalition.
Yeah.
It will be a matter of who gets more numbers.
Sure.
The one who gets more numbers must not be arrogant. Because if you get 40%, you can't form the government alone. Don't be arrogant. Don't make unreasonable demands.
Yeah.
Because the 60% can come together and form the government. Now, we know those areas. We've started to identify the municipalities where we know, even if we're not a leading party, but we will be a key player in the formation of a new government. How are we going to approach negotiations for the establishment of a new government? If political parties can just become reasonable and do not put their interest above the interest of the community. Because the moment when you start saying, I want a certain condition to be met in another sphere of government. But look, this is a local government. People spoke on the 4th of November. Use the will of the people on the 4th of November to form a government. You can talk about other issues at a later stage.
Sure.
So now, the principle of giving flexibility will not be the right way to go for any political party, because people may do what is only convenient to them, and also for decisions that are not known to you as a political party. But what is the right way to go is that, firstly, what are the results? What permutations are allowable in terms of the results? If you can't work with the parties you're working with at a national level, because whatever way you do so, you still don't have 50+1. Now, you must cross the line and say, let us get a government that is going to work. And let us bring also even other partners so that we become a bigger combination to ensure that a stalemate is not reached. Because if it is two parties, sometimes you reach a stalemate in terms of making a decision. But if you expand the combination and look for a coalition that is going to work, maturity determines on the caliber of the councillors you are dealing with. And we are confident that from a political party point of view, we will find it very easy because we invested a lot in preparing for coalitions as the IFP because we knew this is what is going to stay with us for quite some time because people learned badly how majoritarian principle did not help them.
Love the show? Rep the movement. Tap join right here to become an SMWX member now. Support bold African media. Join the fam.
Two final questions. One about the party conference.
Okay.
My understanding is that it's been pushed to early 2027. Your term came to an end, but you've extended the term. How are things going with the preparations for that conference? And do you feel confident that it will be a stable conference and not one of political shocks?
I must start by saying, Sizwe, one must thank God that the IFP is stable as we speak. Many people were predicting that after Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, the party will collapse.
True.
God has been very good and kind to us that after the departure of the founder, we found a common ground to stand on and soldier on. And the party grew even in terms of numbers in the 2024 general elections. And even in terms of the by-elections, we are doing very well.
Looking good for this election.
The reception, even in provinces outside KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, you will see a huge competition in Eastern Cape. Yes, we are in Limpopo, Northwest and Mpumalanga. We have councillors, but we have vibrant people in Eastern Cape who came forth and are campaigning because you can follow in the social media what is happening as well as Free State. Now, in the month of July, I'm sure you might have noticed or followed, we started with the constituency conferences.
Yes, sure.
They went very well because we are of the view that you can't postpone them because they run the local government campaign and we are done with the constituencies. We couldn't take the second step of districts because now on the 20th, we're going to be launching our manifesto on 20 September for the local government elections. Conferences go with emotions.
Yeah, you can't have both.
You can't have both at the same time. And then we know that from December, January, get the municipalities stabilizing, capacitate the leadership. Then in March, we will continue with the conferences, districts, provinces, and national conferences. The IFP is in a good shape, and there is a consensus that we have a stable leadership. You don't change something that is working for you. And it is very critical that the period, the first 10 years after the departure of our founder is a critical period. Is either even in a business or in a church when the leader who has led the organization for quite a long time dies. You need to ensure that you consolidate the first 10 years in order to build the organization to go to the future with a new leadership. And the members of the IFP are very matured, sober. They know what is good for the organization. And I have no fear, even in terms of, do you fear that there might be chaos? No, there won't be any chaos. Simply because the IFP is one amongst political parties that has discipline. Yes, there are elements that are unruly, but we are founded on principles of respect, on principles of discipline, and we saw how the conferences ran during the constituencies. We identified gaps last week. We looked at the gaps that happened that we must close going forward and putting the mechanisms of ensuring that unruly people must be disqualified at the earliest. And then we'll implement that one as we go from district to province so that people understand that in elections, you must allow people to express their vote, to express their view. Do not impose your wish on them. And
Absolutely.
that principle is gelling well with the members of the IFP. And we are looking forward because we will be having very little time from 2027 to prepare for 2029 elections. If you change drastically your leadership and 2 years you're going to elections, you are likely to experience challenges. But if it doesn't work, you have to. But if it is working, you rather ensure continuity and bring on board young, fresh people. This is what we are doing now. We have identified young people. Some of them, we have created a program of training them because the fact is we're not growing young. You know, I used to tell the leadership, look, colleagues, we're not growing young. We need to prepare people who must replace us.
Yeah.
It must not be an accident.
Sure.
And we're working on that program. And we are even bringing new leaders into leadership so that they can start learn how to run politics at a national level. So that when time comes for them to be elected, they do not come into a new space of which they've never experienced before. When then time comes for them, they must have known how do you handle issues at a national space, because it's a different space than being an ordinary member on the ground. We're quite confident, and I'm investing more now on young women to get them into leadership and ensure that we give them sufficient support so that they assume leadership. And even among councillors, I'm a proponent. I'm campaigning for young women
Very good.
To become councillors, and young people that they must not be absent in the council chamber where their future is being decided. They must be there. And we will be deploying more women in leadership positions post 4 November so that we balance the gap between males and females in the leadership space.
Excellent. Well, one last question on that, because you referenced the founder of the party, and of course he also played a critical role in the Zulu Royal House. Last time you were here, we spoke about the stability of the Zulu Royal House, and at that time there were many court battles. Prince Simagade was challenging King Misuzulu. It looks as though things have stabilized on that front too. What are your reflections on where things stand with the Zulu Royal House and the succession debate that was boiling over in and around 2024 in that period?
Yeah, in wearing 2 hats, being the Minister of Copta, because I'm responsible for kings and queens.
Of course, yeah.
So the matter of the Zulu royal family was on my table as a minister, but also as a leader of political party. We have close ties as an organization with the royal family without dictating how they should believe or behave politically. I'm very happy that the contestation has reached a point where it has been settled in the court of law. And at a distance, because we do not want to politicize the royal family, we remain the subjects of the king, and we contribute in ensuring in the stability of the kingdom of the Zulu nation in terms of supporting the king himself as a young person, because the king in terms of age is young. Although not very, very young, but relatively young. The position in which he came to was occupied by someone who has grown to be a senior citizen in our country. So we are part and parcel of giving support to the king, and where the king requires our views, we express our views without compelling the king to take them as they are. We look forward to the Zulu kingdom as well as all other kingdoms in South Africa to attain stability. It was said that we lost the king of Amandebele, who was the chairperson of the Majesty's Forum. And we know whenever you lose a figure of that kind, disputes follows. As we are experiencing now, we are giving support also to the Queen Masala Nabo. We know there are disputes within the family, and we, from Cocta point of view, we are putting together the genealogies of each kingdom and each queenship, and at provincial level of each traditional royal family, so that whenever the king, the queen, or a traditional leader passes away, these disputes do not happen, because really they do not reflect very well of us as African people. That is a similar support we are giving to the king of the Zulu nation, as you rightly say. And as a political party, we are quite good, because the king has an open policy. All political parties, African National Congress, MKP, EFF, Democratic Alliance, all of them, the king opened his hands, because we are all his subjects, and we are quite comfortable with that one.
Well, Minister, wishing you all the best for the election ahead, both the local elections and the party elections. And thank you so much for spending time on the podcast. It's always great to have a minister, dedicating so much time to informing the audience. So we really appreciate it.
No, anytime, Sizwe, we are available on any critical matter, and especially probably I would love to come back, say around February.
That would be great.
Next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
To say where to now. By then, I will have done the audit on the caliber of the mayors, the leadership in councils, as to where to.
Perfect.
I would love to talk about bringing to zero unfunded budgets, because it's one thing that we are going to draw a line with the new councils.
Excellent.
You can't carry on with unfunded budgets, committing lies to the public, but you can't just do it overnight. You need to have put timelines, and we are working on that one. And we are in a program of 90 days transition to ensure that the transition from this council to new council, there should be no collapse in the local government space. We are going to be managing that one very well. But where to? In February will be an ideal space to come back, because we want people to make the local government work. That now you have elected them, what next?
Okay, well, we look forward to speaking again in February.
No, thank you very much, Sizwe,
Thanks
as well
so
as
much,
the
Minister.
viewers.
Appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. Help us reach our next milestone of 500,000 subscribers, and keep it locked on SMWX. Aye.